Hey, this is Dr. Tim Warren from the Ouch Doctors, and welcome to New Thinking About Old Pain. And today we're going to be speaking about strong emotions and your chronic pain.
Well, hi, everyone. It's great to be here. I'm Dr. Steve, and this is Dr. Tim. We are the Ouch Doctors. We're always excited to be with you, sharing new thinking about old pain, new ideas. And before we get into our topic for today, our disclaimer, we are not your doctors. You hopefully have a team of healthcare professionals that you trust, and we recommend that you speak with them about any changes that you make in your healthcare regime. We hope to be able to provide you with ideas and insights to bring to them and share with them and reflect upon. But ultimately, your responsibility for your health is your own and can be shared with your doctors and not with us. So please make sure that you've cleared any changes you make, changes in medication, et cetera, with your physicians. I also want to mention that we run this show on YouTube as well as here on Facebook Live. And if you are watching us on YouTube or care to do so, or just simply follow our subsequent shows and look at some of our older ones, go to our channel, New Thinking About Old Pain. Click that little red button in the bottom right-hand corner of the video and subscribe to the channel. Once you're subscribed, you'll know about upcoming videos, upcoming shows, and we'd love to have you be part of our community. And finally, we love feedback. So we would highly encourage you to reach out, say hi, send us a note. I think we might already have a little note, a little comment from somebody. Jay Ma is here, and she's giving us a thumbs up. And we love your interaction and your questions, et cetera, et cetera. And we're excited about today's show. And I'm going to start out by sharing some personal information by way of expressing what we're talking about and why we think this is so important. First of all, our show today is about the relationship between your emotions and your pain. And this is something Dr. Tim and I allude to often and work with often when we're doing coaching work with our clients, which, by the way, is something that we're doing more and more of. And if you're interested in coaching with us, go visit our new page. It's painstoppable.com, and you could book a free discovery call and set up a little time to talk to us about what's been troubling you and how we might be able to help. But having said that, there's a relationship between your emotions and your chronic pain. I want to share some emotions with you. As a lot of you already know, I just lost my beloved dog, Woody. I'll show you a picture of Woody right there. It's me and Woody at the Lincoln Memorial. Woody was 14 years old. He went with me everywhere. He and I traveled the world together. He's been on planes. He's been at movie theaters. He's been to Broadway shows. He goes to restaurants. He's been my one and only right-hand man for the last 14 years. And I've loved this dog dearly and, bless every day I had him. And then this past week on Thanksgiving, he started having seizures. And that went on for a few days until we brought him to the vet and then ended up having to hospitalize him overnight, and then came to find out that something couldn't be cured. There was something that was probably either a brain tumor or a bleed in his brain. And I lost him. And this was on Monday, and today is Friday. So it's been 4 days since I had lost my best friend of 14 years. And it hurts, and I'm in pain. It's sad. I cried my eyes out for the first couple of days, and then I started feeling this deep well of sadness inside of me, and then it became kind of overwhelming. And then I started getting headaches. I never get headaches, but I started having headaches, and the headaches were just oppressive, and they were really bothersome. And there were other aches and pains in other areas of my body that I started to develop. Luckily, Tim and I do this work, right? And we are very aware of this relationship between pain and emotions. And one of the things that we all say, and Tim is going to go into more detail about this in a little while too, is that it is our repressed emotions, the ones that we're unwilling to own, the ones that we're unwilling to experience, that end up recreating themselves as physical pain. And so once we have physical pain, we then, start to chase after what we're going to do about that pain versus being willing to look at what might be underlying it. What's the thing that's triggering it? What emotion perhaps seems to require that we distract ourselves by having physical pain. And so in the moment that I started feeling the headaches, I realized that these headaches were a form of resistance. They were a form of resistance to emotion. And the emotions that they were a resistance to were the ones I didn't want to feel. So I was okay about feeling sadness. I was okay about crying. I was okay. I don't have a lot of that kind of male invulnerability syndrome. I'm really okay about tears. But there were other feelings that were mixed in with that. And one of them was guilt, because of the moment I had to drop him off at the hospital and watch him looking at me leaving and wondering why I was abandoning him there. That was heart-wrenching. It's hard to talk about right now. And it produced a feeling of guilt that I didn't know what to do with, because I knew consciously that there was nothing I should be guilty about, but it was still horrifying to have to do that. So I had to feel it. I had to let myself feel the guilt. And today I had to go through another wave of it. I had to feel anger. I had to feel anger about, part of it was anger towards him, even though, again, irrational. Why did he have to leave? Anger toward God, anger toward myself for maybe making the wrong move, or maybe not caring enough, and that's why he was taken from me. Just, again, nothing logical, but emotions, and the presence of those emotions and the unwillingness to sit with them and be with them and own them, which is, by the way, what we're all taught. There are probably many of you out there right now hearing me say this, and I say, well, I didn't realize I was feeling guilty. Your initial reaction, and I know this because I have hundreds of Facebook messages to this effect, is, oh, don't feel guilty. Oh, don't feel sad. Oh, don't feel angry. Oh, don't feel. And so all our lives we're taught, oh, don't feel. And if we are absorbing that message, then what do we do when we do feel? We shut it down. We suppress it. And then it shows up as pain. So I wanted to share that because it was my very real, in the moment report from the trenches. And I think it helps launch this conversation about the relationship between emotions and pain. So I've monopolized this conversation long enough. Tim, do you have some things you'd like to share?
Yeah, absolutely. And Steve, I just want to, thank you for being so open and being such a wise human.
Thanks. This is an emotional time, man. It's funny how many people are being affected by this besides myself. And I'm sorry, Tim, too. And I give you my condolences, like I give everybody else who's sad because of this, because I always said that, Woody didn't belong to me. He belonged to the whole world.
And I have to blow my nose.
Yeah. And so there are a lot of people grieving, as am I, and I wish them all comfort and peace in their grief, as well as in my own, because this was bigger than me. And I think we all can resonate with things that sadden us, things that we grieve, and things maybe we didn't let ourselves grieve. So I guess the bottom line is we're all, we're human. And as humans, we experience a lot of emotions, and a lot of them don't come to the surface except in the form of pain. And what an opportunity we have.
Absolutely. And a story you told me before, just before we went live, was, when my dog Palmer died a few years ago, I metriced all the states that he visited, and it was like 17 states that he visited. Yeah. He was in Canada. That was the only country that he visited. But I think Woody had a lot more miles under his belt. My dog Palmer never got on a plane. So it'd be fun maybe to count up how many states that Woody was in, and just kind of put some metrics to it. And also the little story you told me just before we went live was that he was such a great jumper in his early age. And he could vertically jump 5 feet. And one time you're in the bank and he jumped onto the teller's desk. And so, fun stories. I mean, cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for sharing those. Again, our topic is strong emotions and chronic pain. And Certainly a wonderful little intro that you gave to us there, and painfully describing your own loss this week and everything. And that's certainly the strongest of emotions. And you're so wise to be able to analyze it, to feel the emotions, not dwell and obsess, but just, thoughts are things, emotions are things. Feel them. They're there for a reason, and let them march on and deal with the next one. Kind of reminded me when you said you were a little angry today, kind of reminded me of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's 5 Steps of Grief in her book On Death and Dying. And you have to go through each of those steps. And I think I forget all of them that, the final one though is acceptance.
Right.
And that's the goal, but you can't jump right to acceptance. You have to go 1 through 5. Which is fascinating. But what I wanted to talk a little bit about today were the emotions, and I've been just kind of I think this has been in my thought process over the last 2 or 3 days. Is that and I think I was dealing with a client yesterday morning, and I really it kind of put it into a clearer vision for me. She has a lot of fear. Fear is her strong emotion that is most related to her chronic pain. Mm-hmm. And I thought of a story. So Heidi and I live in Southern Rhode Island, and we're not far from Narragansett Beach, our favorite beach. 2 or 3 times a week, we put our paddle boards on the truck, and we go down there. We paddleboard out to the end of this really kind of semi-deserted beach called Narragansett Beach. And I can remember one time down there was this little 4-year-old boy who lost track of his mother. Now, a beach is a really bad place to lose track of your parents, but he was crying, and everybody around didn't quite know what to do. We certainly were going to be. There was a lot of adult eyes on this kid to not go into the water or close to the water. But short of that, what do you do with a crying 4-year-old who doesn't? You can't even see where his parents are.
Yeah.
So a woman walked over, got on her knees, spoke eyeball to eyeball with him. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but and then took the boy by the hand. And they went to look for the child's mother. So crisis averted. And my thought process was, and this kind of made it real yesterday, is that there's a portion of all of us, no matter how old we are. You and I are in our 60s, Dr. Steve. There's a part of us that is still that 4-year-old child, mm-hmm. and is lost, and we're fearful, and we're not feeling safe. Mm. And I think that, to me, is that not feeling safe is I could make a case to you, Dr. Steve, that's the primary emotion for chronic pain out there today. And no one would, if we asked all of our clients and we said, how safe do you feel? Oh, I feel very safe. But deep down, I think we're a lost 4-year-old on the beach. There's a part of us that's a lost 4-year-old on the beach who does not feel safe. And that feeling of the lack of safety is quite related to it's fear. It's fear. And from fear, a manifestation of fear is often anger. Anger is just, to me, is just an offshoot of fear, which is an offshoot of not feeling safe.
Kind of a secondary emotion that one might be a cover for the other, or it might also be that once your amygdala, that part of your brain that manifests fear, that triggers the sympathetic nervous system, that's fight or flight, right? Yeah. So part of so there is fear and anger are 2 sides of the same coin in that sense,
right?
But I love what you just said, this idea of us all being in some ways a lost 4-year-old child trying to find our parents. I remember Ram Dass used to talk about how we were all just trying to get home. We're all just trying we're trying to find home. We're trying to find that where we feel just really safe. And most of us are walking through our lives with some low-grade anxiety or fear that is just operating inside of us. It's just that feeling of edginess that you're almost not aware exists, but it's having an impact on blood flow, and it's having an impact on pain perception, and immunity and all sorts of other things.
Absolutely. And I think so the big question is, well, okay, how do you make this real? And
Yeah.
how can you work with this? And how can you minimize your chronic pain if we're all a bunch of scared 4-year-olds running around? And I think it's to me, it's kind of related to what we all tell stories. We're a myriad, our personality are a myriad of stories that we've told each other, some positive, some negative, some maybe based in reality, and many not based in reality. But are we telling ourselves stories that we're not safe? If we lose someone, or if we lose our beloved pet, is our story to ourselves, oh, I'll never be able to live without this member of my family? Will I be lost? We regress to that scared 4-year-old if we let ourselves believe those stories. So I think the first step is being aware that we have a lot of stories in our mind all the time, and the negative stories that we have to pay attention to those and realize that that is just one side of a coin. The positive side is another side of the coin, is to feel the emotions, work our way through, and know and be aware that we're going to get through to the other side, but it might take some time. And that's a different story that we could tell ourselves, and a therapeutic story.
The story that you opened this with about the child on the beach, that in many ways we all are. And the question of, well, what do you do about that childlike fear, that natural low-grade fear that you feel walking through life and wondering how you're going to get through the next challenge? How do you work with that in order for it to not turn into chronic pain or ill health in some other way, right? And the answer that comes to me also lives inside of the same story, inside of the same metaphor. Because, as you said, you start telling yourself those stories, the stories that you've invented as a 4-year-old. One of the things we need to realize is that a lot of our neuroses, a lot of our anguish in life is because of decisions we made, stories we told ourselves when we were 4 years old or 5 years old. Something happened and we reacted to it and we felt unsafe, and then we told ourselves, I'm not good enough, or I don't fit in, or it's not safe to be in social situations.
Right.
But all of those things were decisions we made at the age of 4, and we're living with them now, right?
Right.
So back to the metaphor. You are that scared 4-year-old, but you are also that compassionate woman who got down on her knees and talked softly to the child. Right. You are both of those things. And so the way that I would answer the question, even though it's more of a rhetorical question, the way I would answer the question of what do you do about it is, you recognize that you are, or you have within you, a scared 4-year-old looking for mommy and daddy. And you also have within you a compassionate adult who can see the scared child.
Right.
And so what does that compassionate adult do? They do two things. One is they comfort you. They allow you to feel what you feel. They don't say, don't be sad. What's the matter with you for feeling that way? They're like, oh, I see you're sad. I see that you're scared, right? That's what the compassionate adult does, is they reflect the experience you're having. And then they say, and it's okay. You're safe. We're going to find your mommy and daddy.
Right.
And that's
so number one might be aware that we're a scared little 4-year-old lost on the beach.
Yeah.
Number two might be don't overreact to it. Just observe that. So be aware and observe that these stories that we're telling ourselves. And number three, tap into, create a new story about the compassionate inner adult helping that 4-year-old child.
Right. You're just like tap into the wisdom, tap into the perspective. Like, as we've gotten older, we now know that problems that seem unsolvable to a 4-year-old can be solved with a little bit of wisdom, or a little bit of resourcefulness. Right. It's okay. You'll get through this. So what I think we're suggesting, Tim, is that we're saying, recognize that you've got emotions, allow yourself space to feel those emotions. If you're feeling scared, if you're feeling pain, assume that you're feeling scared or angry and you're not aware of it, and turn your attention that way. What is it that I'm not letting myself feel? Let me be that, strong, compassionate, loving, wise adult to sit down on my knees, get face to face with that painful part of myself and allow it to be, allow myself to feel it. And then notice and wonder what happens. See, my headaches went away when I was able to own, acknowledge, and allow the feelings of fear, anger, and guilt to mix in with the feeling of sadness. And now what's opening up for me are many more opportunities to feel just gratitude.
Right.
And so my life. So what does that mean? It means not only did my pain go away, but my capacity to live bigger, to embrace better feelings came from that approach. Now, if I had taken a leave and gone to bed, and pulled the covers over my head because I had a headache and I was afraid of the world, that wouldn't have happened. I would have just been medicating away the pain. But instead, I used the pain as a signpost. Right.
What's it here to teach me? What's the purpose? There's always a purpose there if you delve deeply enough.
Exactly. Hey, I see we have some comments that we've been steadfastly ignoring. I just want to put a few people up here and say hi. So first of all, Jen is with us. I'm always thrilled to see Jen. Good morning, our wonderful friend, Jen. And by the way, Jen, you want to go ahead and take a look at our new Pain Stoppable website. We've got a testimonial from you on there. So hopefully you're okay with that, because I didn't ask you. I just put it up there. But take a look. It's painstoppable.com, which I'll put up in a moment. And I've got other wonderful messages here, but that might be a bit long to stick on here. Look at that. But Mary is another dear friend. I want to see what she has to say here. So to me, feeling is also the intelligence of knowing that we are not the only sentient beings on the planet. Ain't that the truth? Because we get so self-absorbed, just not in ourselves, but in our whole species. We have the opportunity and obligation to present for all. And when one leaves, they give us the opportunity to recognize and reflect upon it. Yes, it's perhaps the most generous act, that transition to another form, accompanied by the recognition of leaving those we love. Wow. You know what, Mary, that makes so much sense to me, because one of the ways that I frame this in my mind is that Woody was a gift to me in the sense that he gave me a greater ability to feel present while he was with me. And now the pain that he's left behind is also another invitation to feel more present. Right. When I was in a traumatic car accident many years ago, as I was going in and out of consciousness and wondering, looks like, is there more to that we could? I don't know if we can get the rest of that here. Anyway, let's see, just look at a little bit more of this, though. A man and his dog were walking along the road. The man was enjoying the steering when it suddenly occurred to him that he was dead. He remembered dying and that the dog beside him had been dead for years. He wondered where the road was leading them. After a while, they came to a high white stone wall along one side of the road. It looked like a fine marble. At the top of the long hill, it was broken by a tall arch that glowed in. Oh, of course, it would stop right there.
Of course, right when we were getting to the good part.
Thanks a lump. Okay, Mary, we're gonna sidebar this one real soon, like right after our show. I want to hear the rest of that story. I'm sure that Dr. Tim does too. But thank you for sharing. And what I love, Dr. Tim, is the wisdom of our community. I've got some brilliant people who come and share themselves with us here and share their hearts as well. So I wanted to be thankful for that. Once again, I just want to mention that if you want to know how you could work with us or learn about some of our other programs, our newest website is painstoppable.com. I kind of love it. It's a little bit of a sales page. Some people are anti-sales pagey, and I get that, but it reflects the work we do, and it talks about the value of what we have to offer. And there are a lot of cool people on there too. So
and it's not very sales pagey to me. And really, the big picture is what Dr. Steve and I are committed to doing is to helping people get beyond, just a different stage of life, get rid of chronic pain, because it's worthless. It's not helping you. It's not helping you take your place in the world and reach your full health potential. And so Dr. Steve and I are committed to that, and that's our if we have to sales page it and plug our program, Pain Stoppable, so be it, because it's bigger than us. It's people reaching their full health potential.
Well said. Well, we love you guys. We really appreciate you for stopping by. And if you're watching this, but you feel like what we're saying is something that might touch other people's hearts or help other people find their way help other people remove pain, share this with them. Just send them the link, or just share it directly on Facebook to your page, or there's a lot of ways to get it out there. But hopefully people could start to open to these possibilities that you don't have to live in chronic pain, and that pain. See, I never think you change things, you transmute them, right? You turn them into something else. And what if you could turn your pain through the power of consciousness, through the power of awareness and acceptance, turn your pain into the fuel that you use to drive you to the next level of the life you want to live?
Hey, that's what happened to me, Dr. Steve. I mean, I was flat on my back and chronic pain in my house, had to retire from a job that I loved.
Right.
And here I am helping people avoid what I had to go through or prevent it. I mean, how cool is that? That's my transformation.
I love those stories. And I love when, we've got people that we've worked with who have, years and years of fibromyalgia or arthritis, who learn these tools and embrace them. And then they feel that same compulsion to do something of value for others, because you can't be giving to the world if you're so caught up in your own stuff. But once you can embrace it and face it and move through it, it's those possibilities arise. Those are possibilities never could have existed before. Before you came on the show, I was looking at some quotes from Carl Jung.
I love Carl Jung.
Yeah, he's probably one of the most brilliant, was one of the most brilliant people in the world. And one of the things he said is, there is no coming to consciousness without pain.
Yeah. Sit
on that one for a minute, right? And then side by side with that is, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. What are we not accepting out of the terror of not accepting it? And if you were to accept it and embrace that pain, then what would that do in terms of your consciousness and your capacity to help others? And a third quote of his says, "Man needs difficulties. They are necessary for health."
Right. And that's why, like, stress is not always a bad thing. We need stress. Like, exercise is a stress. If you don't have the stress of exercise, for example, you just melt into your body and you have an early heart attack. Right. So yeah, stress is necessary. And I love those 3 quotes. Thank you for that, Dr. Steve.
My pleasure. So we're kind of wrapping up our time together for today, but I really want to, again, acknowledge everybody for being part of this journey with us, and check out our stuff at painstoppable.com. And having said that, anything you'd like to add to wrap us?
I'd like to say, train your brain.
Stop your pain.
Stop your pain. All right. See you next time.
Take care, guys.